Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here. That was a weird intro. Anyway, it's me, Pagey here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6. And it's that time of the year again. The leaks are coming. No one patched up the roof. The rain's coming through. So it's leak time. Now, yes, you might be going, oh, these again. But I will say this. Take this with a grain of salt. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. However, there were leaks last year, which were like 95% correct. The only thing they got wrong from that batch of leaks was the Tracy Brand return, if anyone remembers us going over them. And that set of leaks that was 95% correct were the ones that talked about Nora and her ability to like rewind time. They specifically went into like what it meant, which wasn't shown in the season 4 finale. And also they talked about Cisco leaving, or that that Carlos Valdez was going to like contract stuff and that he's considering leaving, which is exactly what happened. And we saw that. And that's what started the rumor. If you didn't know, that's what started all the talk about it, was that set of leaks. So they were correct on everything outside of a Tracy Brand thing. And I have a feeling this is from the same person. I don't know. It's on 4chan. This is the same place where those other ones will put. It's hard to tell if it is from the same person, but it's like sort of set out the same. But yeah, so as I said, still take it with a grain of salt, but maybe take it with a tinier grain of salt than you would with normal leaks. So let's go through them, of course. Leave all of your various thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, especially on like what piece of like leaked info, if you want to call it, gets you going, ooh, that's interesting, and which one makes you go, ooh, I don't like that. Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're excited by any of these and go on to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to do all of that. So they actually start off this set of leaks with a bit of a bang. Usually they build up to it from what we've seen before, but they just go like hard, straight out of the gates, if you want to call it. And they just say Red Death is the villain, but there were brief talks for Cobalt Blue to be the big bad, but he was skipped over due to complaints about non-speedster villains. So look, I think Red Death has been the top one. There's been some reports that that's the character they're casting, even like some audition stuff. There's like I think something went on Reddit, I think it was, with like a line of dialogue from the casting, and it sounded pretty much like Red Death. But there's also another casting that that line could be attached to, which we will go over in another video. Sorry, I just don't want to spoil it in this video. But them saying Red Death is the villain doesn't surprise me. I think it's the villain that is the more likely of... I guess it's probably Red Death or Godspeed. But the fact that they're saying it's Red Death, but there were brief talks for Cobalt Blue is interesting. Which is weird, because Cobalt Blue can be a speedster. He's not necessarily like naturally a speedster, but he can be a speedster. But yeah. But anyway, they go on to say Red Death will appear in episode 2 or 3. Unsure at this stage exactly, but casting is still ongoing. Producers are looking for Latino actors in late 20s or early 30s. The fact that they specify Latino is interesting. When the casting description came out, they were just looking for diverse actors, I think they said, which doesn't necessarily mean race. It can mean, sexuality and stuff like that. But them saying that Red Death will appear in episode 2 or 3, I've been not the biggest fan of them putting villains too early in seasons, like big bads, but maybe it's just a glimpse at him or her. Well, actually, it's him. They said it was a male, didn't they? I don't know. They did do the read-through for episode 2, but then again, we don't know which characters are going to be in there. So maybe that's the thing. The casting's still ongoing. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know how old these were by the time he put them up. Maybe he was sitting on them for a week, and that's the information that this person had. I don't know, but yeah, casting's still ongoing. Episode 2 or 3 sounds plausible. Crisis on Infinite Earths will be set up throughout the first 7 episodes, but won't be a main focus. Arrow, on the other hand, I don't know what that means, but anyway. Oh, actually, I think I know what that means anyway. But Crisis on Infinite Earths will be set up throughout the first 7 episodes. Now, and they did release, they didn't mean to release, but Grant Gustin accidentally leaked the episode title for episode 2, which was A Flash of the Lightning, which is the title of the issue, or like the chapter, if you want to call it, in Crisis on Infinite Earths, in which Barry sacrifices himself. And we know that the Monitor will most likely be appearing in episode 2 for this season of The Flash. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that Crisis on Infinite Earths will be built up fairly well within the first 7 episodes, but as expected, you wouldn't think it'd be a main focus because they just got to do stuff with their own season. But when they say Arrow, on the other hand, I'm guessing that means that I don't know if it's a he or a she, but they have info on Arrow basically being a road to crisis like we all thought it would. Maybe he might drop some Arrow leaks. Hopefully, I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe that might happen, but that's exciting. They then go on to say, and this might comfort a lot of people, but they say Cisco is back, but in a different role. Look, we know Cisco's back for episode 1. He's in the episode 1 script and everything like that. We're not too sure what they're necessarily going to do with all of that, what they're doing with Cisco. It's a bit confusing because then they're casting another role, which basically sounds like a Cisco replacement. But I mean, I don't really know what to say here. I'm just interested to see what they do with Cisco, but it's going to be hard for them, to think working into the show consistently, but we'll see what they do. Sue Dearborn will be a mini foe turned love interest for Ralph. So Sue Dearborn, is who's going to become Sue Dibney. Interesting that they say she's a mini foe turned love interest. I'm guessing there'll just be some banter. I don't necessarily think it'll be like a rivalry necessarily. Maybe Ralph comes on a bit too strong and she's not the biggest fan of it. Or maybe Ralph doesn't act like himself and tries to act different. Maybe like Cisco was doing last season with Camilla. That might be what happens here. I don't really want to see like some sort of like, it's a hate turn love thing. I'd rather just be, some decent development there. I don't want to really be struggling to watch the relationship grow, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Jay Garrick, Jesse Quick, and Wally West are all characters that are wanted for one episode in particular, but logistically that episode is looking to be a hard one to sort out and organize. I don't even know why that's in here. That sounds a bit weird. Anyway, I can understand logistically that episode being hard to organize with those 3 characters. Jay Garrick would be hard to get back. It's Jesse Quick and Wally West. So Violet Bean and Kenan Lonsdale would be 2 actors that are hard to get into the show, and especially for like specifically, okay, we want episode 6 to have all these characters. It'd be hard to do that. Not really much to talk about here. It's just hard to get 3 actors in one spot, I guess. Frost's new suit is the best yet for the character, one of the best in the Arrowverse. It's actually interesting that they put Frost instead of Killer Frost. So does that confirm that that's the name that Caitlin's alter ego is going to go by? There's no more Killer, it's just Frost? Okay, now we know that she got a new suit because at the end of last season, it was basically Cisco's present. We just didn't get to see it. Now, due to this, I'm excited to see it. But the main interesting thing is that it says just Frost. So there's no Killer Frost. Okay. They then go on to say, speaking of suits, the chin strap is back for the Flash. That doesn't make English anyway. For the Flash suit. Suit reveal should come soon. Now, I'm not shocked that a suit reveal would come soon because promo material and stuff like that. We'd see it before the season actually premieres. But the chin strap, I think we already knew that. I think Grant Gustin confirmed that. So this isn't really news. Next up, there are talks for Jessica Parker Kennedy to return at some point this season, but nothing of note from early season planning. Season 6 showrunner Eric Wallace doesn't seem too interested in bringing her back. Now, the only reason that the whole Jessica Parker Kennedy thing was brought up in regards to her returning is that the former showrunner last season of him being a showrunner, being season 5, that being Todd Helbing. He said that there was many ways in which Jessica Parker Kennedy, who played Nora, could come back onto the show. But obviously it seems that Eric Wallace, who's taking over, doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of her, or maybe just doesn't want to deal with, working her in when maybe doesn't feel natural. That's maybe what's going on here. Hopefully Eric Wallace does a good job. He's written some pretty good episodes and some big episodes like premieres and finales. So I think he's got a good understanding of where to go with the show. The next up is something to do with Iris, and it says Iris has developed her newspaper a lot between seasons. As in like between season 5 and 6. It was decided it was better to skip over that development as it was seen as difficult to fit in consistently. Okay, I have an issue with that. That's just called laziness, or the show doesn't care about Iris, or both. That's weird. Why? This is the thing we've been waiting seasons to see Iris do. It's going to be, people are waiting to see her write that article about Crisis. Now they're going to skip over her building that up? That seems weird. That makes me think this is not legitimate, or it's another bad decision by the writers and the showrunners. That's weird. Tom Cavanagh will have a lot of fun this season, ... for multiple reasons. Well, I think we know one of those reasons will be Eobard Thornness. I'm guessing another reason will be he might be able to play another fun role. Might see Harry again from her too. That'd be pretty cool. yeah, Tom Cavanagh always has fun, so that's not too surprising. Next up, we have Eric Wallace, the new showrunner, has taken notes of the complaints from the past 3 seasons and is looking to reignite and refresh the show. A lot of people will find that refreshing. I just use what's in there, refresh. But I don't know. Look, some of the stuff here is good, but then the stuff with like the Iris and stuff like that, where it just seems like that's a bit lazy. And might make people complain a bit more, because one of the things with Iris is that there's been a lack of development with her character, and they just put her stuff and go, oh yeah, she knows this stuff, and it's like, well, we didn't see it. Don't tell us, show us. So hopefully that thing with Iris isn't true. But I'm excited if he is trying to reignite and refresh the show. I'm excited for that. The second last one we have is Kevin Smith is in talks to direct an episode in the back half, as he was disappointed to not take part in season 5. Did he not direct an episode in season 5? He didn't he? I guess he was directing his Jay and Silent Bob new movie, so he probably didn't have time, I guess. So that's exciting, I guess. Obviously, directing doesn't really matter too much. It's really the writing that's more important. Like, directing isn't directing a TV show isn't the same as directing a movie in regards to the control you have. But just having his like influence and I guess want to be a part of it is pretty cool. So if he comes back, awesome. And then finally we have the tone will be similar to that of season 2 and 5. A dark villain, but a lighter tone when it comes to Team Flash and normal in air brackets, or quote unquote normal life scenes and storylines. Now that's good. I think season 1 was probably the best tone, but then again, I think it depends on the villain. Like if you have, as I said, like season 2 and 5 have dark villains that are looking to do a lot of damage to a lot of people, but then outside of that, you have a fairly lighter tone. So that sounds good. Obviously, we can talk it up now. We have to wait until we actually see it, because I remember when we were going to season 4, they said the tone was going to go back to season 1, and they basically turned into like a stand-up comedy show that wasn't really funny in the first couple of episodes. So, yeah, I'll have to wait and see what happens there. I'd rather just wait until it comes out to judge the tone, rather than them talk it up and then it not be true when the actual show starts playing. But yeah, overall, these leaks, I'd say about 90% of them sound legitimate. The only one that has me really concerned is that Iris one. That's really, really concerning. I really don't like the sound of that, because you're skipping over the bits that people actually sort of want to see. That's the only one that I really have an issue with. I think that's the only one I really have an issue with that sounds a bit dodgy. The rest of them sound legitimate, and there's already stuff to back up some of them as well. So yeah, leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below on this. Do you think they're legitimate? Do you think they're bullcrap? Which one do you like the most? Which one gets you the most worried? If you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.